Hello everybody. Today we'll work on the Jeff Bridges beard. So basically we'll concentrate a little bit more working on beard because we haven't done that for a long time. So having the portrait, we'll put the measure up, down, eyelid, nose, eyebrow, eyelid, eyebrow, nose, mouth, top, bottom, and a little bit of an angle that we have here, like 5 degrees or even less. That angle that the nose has, which is not straight. There's an angle, there's a slight angle. Well, let's go for Jeff Bridges, working on the beard of Jeff Bridges. All right, let's go. Hello again. So let's start and drawing Kurt Russell, and mainly this will be how to draw a beard, and loads of, well, here we've done it quite a few times, but how to draw a beard, and also I'll try and get the likeness of Kurt Russell here. Now, we have a little bit of an angle, almost like negligible, like 5 degree angle from the right angle. So there is an inclination, at least from the nose where I see it. Maybe it's just the nose going that way, and here will be the end of the face where his beard will be, and here will be the nose somewhere here, eyebrow, eyes under the eyebrow, and then the hair. So this will be the top of his hair and the side of the face. So we've got here, that's the jaw, that's the beard. So let's get the beard right. Will be a lesson on beard, and also he's a good actor and model as well, not only actor, to draw the beard. So he's got a full on. Okay, goatee. Here, moustache, goatee here, and because it's grey, we have lots of light areas. We have the eyebrow on this particular face, on Kurt Russell. He does have a long, high, a high forehead. Then you have the side of the face, that's the eyebrow, the side of the face here. And as you can see, I'm not committing with lines, I'm going with half tones all the way, as much as I can. Then you have the other eyebrow. Now this eyebrow, his right or my left and your left, it's slightly higher. There you have the eye. And the other eye. And the nose coming down here. Tip of the nose. Hair, this side of the hair. Here you have the forehead. Side of the shadow on the face here. So I'm trying to be as light, well, to draw as light as possible, because these are not definite lines. So I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I know roughly where I'm going, but there's not particular a definite answer, is that correct or not. So I need to be as light as possible at this stage. Now the earlobe is here on the nostril. So the end of the earlobe is here. Ear itself is here. Hair, neck, and the beard. I think I've got it quite wide, so I'm trying to restrict a little bit the beard. Here is the hair on that side, brownish brownish hair. And that's the side of the face. Earlobe is here on the other side. Then you have the shadow of the skin tone, shadow of the forehead, and a little bit more hair here, and a lot of shadow on that side, so shadow on the background. Yeah, okay. And so let's go now and do a little bit of his side of the right hand side of the face. Those expressions of the skin, of his cheek, the eye here on the right hand side, my right hand side, crow lines here, crow lines, small, but they are there because of a certain age. That's the eyebrow, and the eyebrow just becomes part of the shadow here. So there's the end of the eyebrow here, and side of the nose, there is a little bit of a shadow here. And a little bit of the tip of the nose, nostril, soft, very, very soft line, very soft shadow, little bit of the tear duct. Actually, it's not even there, it's just the line of the forehead of the eyebrow just drops a lot down here. Tear duct, eye, and a very, very soft shadow, because the light comes from the front of the face. So you got the light, the front of the face, you have the hair down here, a bit of a shadow, and you have the line of the hair here, the side of the hair here, and lines coming through his hair, and then just a little bit closer or a different angle. Now that eye, which is his right or my left, is slightly higher because of the movement of his head. It's slightly higher on a horizontal line, so it's there. And there, tear duct. Soft, again, soft shadow. Soft shadow, side of the wall of the nose. Tip of the nose, and the nostril, and then you have the tip of the nose here. And there we have it. Side of the nose. Side of the nose, the wall of the nose here. And the eyebrows are a little bit bushy. Then you have the forehead line and a very transparent shadow, soft shadow of his forehead. More hair here, and a little bit of side of his sideburn, thinner. I think I've done him a little bit wider than he actually is, so a bit thinner. The goatee a little bit smaller too. Here I have the shadow, the dark of the jacket, which works like a frontier between the forehead and the beard and it's like a background, let's say. Here down here I do have the beard with some shadow under, soft shadow, very soft. That's his tie. I've gone a little bit too dark there, but bear with me because I can go now and with my finger just softly create that beard texture. And wider beard as well. And the side of the beard is just by the end of his eyes. So the beard actually comes here because he's smiling. It just stops here on the side of the eye. Let me see again. Yes. So if the eye is here, the beard stops, finishes here. That's the side of his neck, jaw, hair. Hair again. A little bit more of a side of the face, wider. Wider. I think he needs to go slightly wider here, and that turn that I've done here is probably a little bit too much. So I can come and rectify that and bring that hair and do that darker tone here of his hair. Same dark as the jacket that he's wearing. And some highlights here on the hair. Smaller nose. Narrower, not smaller but narrower nose. And a little bit more rounded tip of the nose here. The hair here. Moustache. And we said that is a grey moustache. And I will work it a little bit. I'll concentrate a little bit more on the moustache because that will be a moustache theme portrait. See, we haven't done much of the moustache. Not really. And it's a classic example and a very well-known actor. Little bit darker here. And a little bit of a tone of value, dark tone of value here. Under the moustache, because it creates also a little bit of a shadow. But also we have the lip, and the lips are obviously a little bit darker because the lips have blood vessels, which they appear to be a little bit darker, and some bushy mustache here again. I think I've got to soften that bushy eyebrow here. And get that side of the nose here. And the side of the nose. And a line which will define. A line which will define here the nostril. There we are. Now. And slightly a soft line for his eyes. And the tip of there you have the eyebrow. Wider forehead. And actually, the hair is very interesting. It's dense, and it's got this beautiful volume here that you have. Here, especially up here. And softly moving up there. Now, I think that mustache looks a little bit, looking at it quickly, it feels like much wider than it actually is, but that is a easy fix. Hair which goes right up to the nose, side of the face here, side of the face. That's a very soft line which defines the cheekbone and the cheek. More the cheek than the cheekbone, to be honest, because the cheekbone we don't see it. So take some darks from the hair and add it here. And a little bit of, I've dropped the eye, so I will come back and work on the eye with a pupil here. Pupil here. There we are. Upper eyelid. And a little bit wider here as well. And here as well, a little bit of a grey beard, and also shorter, because I think the beard is quite long here on me. So coming back, and as the theme is the beard, as I said, I will concentrate especially on the beard, but also on the hair. Okay, now let's get those sides of the face a little bit darker with the crow, the eye crow. That's not it. The crow lines are down here on the eye, not up there. These are purely lines of the forehead, and you have it down here. Okay, I'll mute it a little bit, because with the concentration of doing and working on the likeness, I start mumbling now, and I'm not making much sense. I'll go back and forth with going fast and then slowly, and then fast and slowly until we get the likeness, but you will see the process. All right. Well, let's I've paused the video so I could work a little bit on the likeness. That I've got a little bit of a control over the likeness of Kurt Russell here, and I think I need to come back and do some statements of dark statement here. I like this side of his face a little bit darker, so it looks like a strong man, that he always presents himself like a authority on the movies that he plays as a sheriff, and also he's got that image of a strong man, and here he comes across pretty much the same. So let's work on that a little bit and give him what he's actually worked for and what he actually is, probably that strong man image. So that stern, polite look, but stern and the image of a good man. So here, the line, I think I've gone a little bit, there's an angle here of that shadow. So it's like, again, it's the same angle of the nose. So if the nose has about 5-degree angle, that shadow does, it's totally parallel to that angle there. So I can do a little bit of shadow here. And possibly getting, I've worked on the his ear, which is basically very close, just attached to the face, to the his face and ear, but also it's a bit light, so I've given the light tone to the ear, maybe not as light as that, so I've dropped the light on the ear a little bit more, and then get that smile on his face here. Get that going here, because he does have this, and maybe with a lighter tone under, so to work on the, emphasize that line, dark line here, and his cheekbone, and cheekbone and the cheek as well, and a little bit of a lighter, darker tone here, right here, and give it a little bit of working on the shadow here, and creating the nose, creating that strong nose. As I said earlier, a statement here of the authority, and obviously he's not playing a role here, but it gives still that picture is a picture of a successful person. So they have it, getting the likeness as much as possible, that's a bonus, but also working on the beard. As I said earlier on, it will be the beard of Kurt Russell, but working on beard more than the beard of Kurt Russell, and it's a good example of working on beard here. The hair, which is a little bit a few lines coming here and there from the hair, getting those little lines, little tip of the hair here, shadow that the hair, and the shadow on the background of the shadow of his portrait, photographed on a light background. And here we are. Soft tone. So the brush does help a lot doing all those soft tones. As you can see, it's just an essential tool here to create those soft, especially the background tones. And a little bit more emphasis on the lines of the hair here. He's probably used gel here hair, and here is quite soft. The whole thing is quite soft, the hair all around here and there as well. Okay, so let's go back to the speed up hyperlapse. I'm just keeping you up with the process and what I'm actually thinking here. So it's basically working on likeness. Now that I have a lot of darks, I need to work a little bit and soften those darks and create more highlights. This is my next step. Okay, now that the likeness is pretty much set, I'm gonna try and bring that nose a little bit forward, as the noses are the first. If you approach the face of any person, you will bang the nose first. You bang your head or your forehead on the nose. So the nose is the feature which is the closest to the viewer. So this is why I'm trying to lift up the nose a little bit more and to make it more visible, to make it more popping out, if that's a word, to make it look more like getting closer to the viewer. So this is what I wanted to say. And as I said, it's better to concentrate on the likeness if that's the case, which I think is good on this particular portrait. And get the nose, as I said, closer to the viewer, as close as I can. And now it's the final touches, which is basically getting those soft lines of the forehead and get the forehead moving forward a little bit, again this area, and that suggests a strong forehead, as I said, from a strong man. And a strong man image, and soften those dark tones. I think I've gone a little bit too dark with those. and also bring them a little bit more to the left, more to the right, this area. All right, I think I've got him. And some last touches on the beard, his gray beard. Softening those edges because it's a gray beard. Softening the edges. And the hair which comes in and out to the dark, from the dark to the gray hair, and from the gray hair to the dark background. Bringing the beard up a little bit, spiky lines. All right, okay. And giving it a little bit of spray, tonal spray, just a bit of a spray, so I don't move the darks in and out when I'm working here. So the spray will keep the darks put and then put in place, and then I can come and either darken some parts or lighten up some parts. So just a tiny bit of spray. Hairspray will do as well. A little bit softer, those lines. Okay, now a bit of hairspray and some darks at the top and lights, some highlights basically. Bit of hairspray. All right. Okay, now that will be the last highlights that I'm going to do on the portrait, and I'm trying to clear up some highlights with my fingers first. And that will be a softer touch on the portrait, softer highlights which are more organic than strong highlights with the putty rubber. So I'm trying to do that with softer tonal values with my fingers. Here I have a lot of light, so I'm going to keep that as light as possible, and that also marks the worry lines of the model. There. So stronger highlights right here, maybe a bit lighter on the middle here to emphasize the protruding forehead. Stronger highlights on the cheek. Now you see that was not intended. There's a line here which there's an angle from the eyebrow, drops like that, and that is his smiling cheek, and the cheekbone. It starts from the cheekbone and goes to the cheek here. And some highlight here, lighter tone here, and I've made him slightly smilier than what he appears to be here, which is not a bad thing, but I've deviated from what I'm actually seeing here and making him a little bit more cheerful than what it appears to be in the picture. So highlights here on the top of the eye, on the other side, top of the eye, on his left side eyebrow. Give him that smiley look on the worry lines here. I was a bit too far up, dropping it a little bit down, a little bit more. 2 worry lines here. And I'll come with a brush and soften those because they've gone a little bit dark, brighter than I intended to again. So these things happen. That's why I'm trying to use my fingers more than the putty rubber, because you can brighten up where you don't need to and you can darken when you don't need to. Now that's a little bit too strong here, so I need to soften that and brighten up right above his eyebrow, and probably come with some charcoal. Bushy eyebrow. Okay, and that's another one here. Bushier eyebrows, a little bit more extensive eyebrow here, so a bit wider, the eyebrow on that side, lifting up a little bit of lighter tone right here, where it terminates the line of the upper eyelid. And there. A little bit of tear duct, a little bit darker. Softer tone. And pushing back a little bit this line, because I think it's too much to the right. So there's more width on the eye, on the nose of his nose. The width, the upper part of the nose, it's slightly wider. I'm making the eyes, and another thing that I've changed on the portrait is that the portrait is looking to us, to me, to you, and on the original picture is not looking at us. He's looking slightly away. I don't mind that. I can make it look away, but I prefer this. And then it came up as I was working, it came up looking at me, and then I said, well, I don't want to change it. Keep it that way. Looking at the viewer, basically. That line goes right deep into this beard. And here we are. Have a line on his collar, some highlights of grey hair here, and those highlights that I've done with the putty rubber, I need to tone them down. They're brighter, but they're highlights. They don't have an internal lightning which makes them brighter. They're just highlights, but they still, and the hair is colorful, so the hair is not as bright as it appears to be here. So that's why I need to darken those highlights a little bit more. Well, here we are, and some softer hair popping up from whichever angle. Here. Okay, and some soft hair here. That was too strong. This is why I'm revisiting it with my finger and softening the hair coming up there. And the side of the forehead, which I need to give it a bit of a tonal value here, slightly darker tonal value. A little bit darker here. A few highlights of where the worry lines are. And getting those lines muddled up here with a shadow. And the beard. The beard, which is our theme today. Okay. Gone a little bit too strong on this one, so softer. Those hair, beard hair, they are softly merging with the skin tone. It's funny because the light on the skin is the same light on the beard, so I've got to be very aware of that, so I don't brighten too much the skin tone here, because it will get muddled up with the lightness of the beard. And there, and getting the beard a little bit wider on this side, here, there. Okie dokie. And then a little bit darker tonal value here. And a lighter tone. And a darker tone here. And a darker tone here. And a slightly darker tone here. To soften those lines that I'm doing here. Okay, and the borderline, the hairline, where the border of the hairline is here. Okay, that's pretty much it. And probably also a little bit darker here. All right, I think that's pretty much it.